The string quartet's final note hung in the air like a held breath when I saw my wife's lips brush the shell of her ex's ear. "God, I miss nights like those," she murmured, soft enough that only he and the champagne flute in her hand should have heard. But I heard. I was 3 feet away, holding 2 flutes of my own, and the words detonated inside my ribcage with the precision of a sniper's round. I froze mid-step, the glasses trembling in my grip. Mark, her college boyfriend, the one she swore was ancient history, tilted his head, a slow private smile curling at the corner of his mouth. He didn't answer aloud. He didn't need to. His thumb grazed the inside of her wrist, a gesture so intimate it felt like a brand. The garden lights flickered across the white roses arching overhead, and for one nauseating second the entire wedding reception blurred into watercolor. I should have dropped the champagne and confronted them right there on the flagstones. Instead I backed away, one silent footfall at a time, until the crowd swallowed me. My pulse hammered so loudly I was sure the string quartet could play along. 8 years of marriage, 2 kids asleep at home with a sitter, and my wife was pining for nights like those with the man who once left her sobbing on a dorm room floor. I found a shadowed corner behind the dessert table and pretended to check my phone. Really, I was replaying every micro-expression. The way her shoulders softened when Mark appeared at the bar. The way her laugh pitched higher whenever he leaned in. I'd chalked it up to old friendship, to the champagne, to the romance of our friend's vow renewal. Now every memory felt radioactive. Sarah found me 20 minutes later, cheeks flushed, eyes bright with something I used to think was joy. "There you are," she said, slipping her arm through mine. "I was worried you'd abandoned me for the open bar." Her fingers were cold against my forearm. I stared at the faint crescent mark on her wrist. Mark's thumbprint, I realized, and felt my stomach fold in on itself. "Needed air," I managed. She studied my face, and for a moment I thought she saw the fracture lines. Then she smiled, that same dazzling smile that convinced me to propose on a rainy pier in Seattle, and tugged me toward the dance floor. "Come on, one dance before we head home to relieve the sitter." I let her lead me. The quartet had switched to something slow and syrupy. Couples swayed under strings of Edison bulbs, and Sarah pressed her cheek to my shoulder the way she did when the kids were babies and we stole 5-minute slow dances in the kitchen. Except tonight her body felt like a question mark. Halfway through the song, Mark cut in. "Mind if I steal her for old time's sake?" he asked me, all easy charm and expensive cologne. The polite thing would have been to nod. Instead I tightened my grip on Sarah's waist. "She's all yours in 30 seconds, I said. "Song's almost over." Mark's eyebrows lifted a fraction, but he backed off with a chuckle that scraped my nerves raw. Sarah pulled away when the music ended. "What was that?" she whispered, half laughing, half annoyed. "Possessive much?" I looked her dead in the eye. "Tell me about the nights you miss." The laughter drained from her face. "What?" "You heard me." Her gaze darted to the exit, to the bride twirling in her renewed husband's arms. "Anywhere but me." "I don't know what you think you heard." "I heard enough." My voice cracked on the last word and I hated myself for it. We left without saying goodbye to the happy couple. The drive home was a 40-minute autopsy. Sarah stared out the window, arms crossed tight. I kept both hands on the wheel, knuckles white. Every mile marker felt like another nail in the coffin of us. At home the sitter took one look at our faces and mumbled something about traffic pay before bolting. I paid her double just to get her out faster. Sarah kicked off her heels in the foyer and headed for the kitchen. I followed. "Talk," I said. She poured herself water with shaking hands. "It was nothing. Nostalgia. Too much champagne. Bullshit." The glass paused halfway to her lips. "Jake. Tell me what nights like those means, Sarah. Spell it out." She set the glass down hard enough to slosh water across the granite. "We were 20. We stayed up until dawn talking about everything and nothing. We were reckless. It was electric." Her voice softened on the last word, and something inside me splintered. "Electric," I repeated. "And us? What are we?" She met my eyes then, and I saw the guilt she'd been swallowing all evening. "You're my husband. You're the father of my children. You're safe," I finished. "I'm the safe choice you settled for after the electric one burned out. That's not fair. Isn't it?" Silence ballooned between us, thick and poisonous. Upstairs, the baby monitor crackled with Mia's sleepy breathing. I thought of our daughter's crayon drawings taped to the fridge, of Ethan's gap-toothed grin in the soccer photos on the mantel. I thought of the mortgage, the 401k, the minivan with the cracked taillight. All of it suddenly felt like a stage set I'd been sleepwalking through. Sarah's voice dropped to a whisper. It was one sentence, Jake. One stupid, drunk sentence. But you meant it. She didn't deny it. That was the knife twist. I slept in the guest room. Or rather, I lay on top of the covers fully dressed, staring at the ceiling fan until dawn. At 6:07 a.m., I heard her moving around the kitchen, the familiar clink of coffee mugs. I showered, dressed, and packed a duffel with 2 days' worth of clothes. When I came downstairs, both kids were still asleep. Sarah stood at the island, eyes puffy, clutching a mug like a lifeline. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Hotel. I need space." She flinched as if I'd struck her. "Jake, please. We can fix this." "Can we?" I zipped the duffel. "Because from where I'm standing, the fix started the moment you decided our life wasn't enough." I was at the door when her voice stopped me. "I never acted on it. I need you to know that." I turned the knob. Sometimes the wanting is worse than the doing. The hotel was a bland extended stay off the highway. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened my laptop. For the first time in years, I logged into the joint credit card account we rarely checked. There it was. A charge from 2 weeks ago, $178 at the Marriott downtown. The same night Sarah told me she was grabbing drinks with the girls after work. I stared at the screen until the numbers blurred. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I simply forwarded the statement to my phone, closed the laptop, and drove to the gym where Mark trained clients. He was mid-set on the bench press when I walked in. Spotting me, he racked the bar and sat up, sweat beading on his forehead. "Jake, didn't expect to see you here." I didn't waste breath on pleasantries. "Stay the hell away from my wife." He wiped his face with a towel, buying time. "Look, man, whatever you think. I think you touched her wrist last night like you had the right. I think she lit up for you in a way she hasn't for me in years. I think I'm done asking nicely." Mark's jaw tightened. "She's a grown woman." "Yeah. And I'm the grown man who's about to make your life extremely complicated if you ever speak to her again." I left before he could reply. Adrenaline buzzed in my veins, but underneath it was a hollow ache I couldn't name. That night Sarah blew up my phone. 23 missed calls, voicemails I couldn't bring myself to play. At 2:14 a.m. a text appeared. "I'm sorry. I ended it. Whatever it was, it's over. Please come home." I stared at the screen until it went dark. Then I opened the banking app again and transferred half our savings into a new account in my name only. Petty? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. The next morning I picked the kids up from my sister's. Ethan asked why Mommy was crying when she dropped them off. I told him grown-up stuff, promised pancakes, and drove to the park. Watching them chase each other across the wood chips, I felt the first stirrings of a plan. Sunday evening I returned home. Sarah was on the couch in the same yoga pants she'd worn for 2 days, eyes swollen. The house smelled faintly of burned toast and despair. She stood when I walked in, wringing her hands. "I'll tell you everything," she said. "No filters. Ask me anything." I dropped my keys in the bowl. "Start with the Marriott." She told me. One night. One mistake. She'd ended it the next morning, blocked his number, deleted the texts. She swore it. I listened without interrupting. When she finished, the silence stretched so long she started to shake. Finally I spoke. "I believe you ended the sex. I don't believe you ended the wanting." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "What do? We start over. But not here. Not in this house where every corner reminds me of what I lost." Her breath hitched. "You're leaving." "No. We're leaving. Together. New city, new jobs, new everything. You want electric? We'll build our own current. But if I ever smell nostalgia on you again, I walk with the kids and half of everything we own. Are we clear?" She nodded, sobbing so hard she could barely speak. 6 months later we lived in a cedar-shingled rental outside Portland. The kids started at a Montessori with a duck pond. Sarah took night classes in graphic design, something she'd abandoned when we got married. I coached Ethan's soccer team and learned to make lattes at a local roastery, while I finished my remote MBA. Some nights we still lay awake, the space between us a minefield. But other nights she reached for my hand first, and I let her. At our friend's one-year vow renewal anniversary party. Yes, they invited us back. Sarah wore the same emerald dress. Mark was conspicuously absent. Halfway through the evening she pulled me onto the dance floor, pressed her forehead to mine and whispered, "I miss nights like these." I felt the tremor in her voice, the weight of every promise we were keeping. I kissed her temple, tasting salt and possibility. "Then let's make 1,000 more," I said. And for the first time in months I believed we would.